This picture breaks my heart every time I see it, in more ways than one. For one, I just see my daughter and know all the shit that she's been through, had to go through, hospital visits, surgeries, all of that. Just seeing her little like that and just fighting, and she doesn't even know why any of this is happening. And it's brutal to see these pictures of her. And then I see myself in that picture, and I just see this guy who I don't even recognize anymore because I'm not that person anymore. And I just wasn't the way I lived, the way I thought about things, what I thought was okay. It just wasn't okay. And then I see the clothes that I'm wearing, and I wonder, why am I wearing dinner attire at the hospital? And then I piece back that day, the night before, and I try and put all together, and there's bits and pieces of it, and some that really stands out, and some things I don't remember as much. But I know that we dropped my daughters off at the babysitter, and I think she might have had a light cold. No big deal. Wasn't something we were too concerned about, like most kids. Went out to dinner with my brother-in-law and his wife, and you know, went out to dinner, had drinks, came back from there, ended up partying, which for me meant, you know, one after another for the entire night. And I remember waking up at like 10:30 the next morning. Didn't really know where I was. Kind of finally figured it out. Immediately stumbled over to the kitchen, to the fridge, and reached for a beer. And a voice behind me said, "I don't think that's a really good idea right now." And it ended up being my sister-in-law, and she told me what was going on and said, yeah, your wife left like early this morning, like 6:30, to go pick up your daughter and take her to the hospital. She got really bad. And I'm just like, how could she have gotten so much worse just from the night before? But that's the thing with their condition, is they're immunocompromised, and colds act very differently in them, and they act quick and unpredictable. And then so I basically just threw my shoes on and was heading for the door, and my sister-in-law pointed out to me her file cabinet that was all dented up and said, "Do you remember that?" And I said, "Nah, well, no, what happened?" And apparently I had fallen headfirst so hard into this file cabinet that I dented it. It was a metal file cabinet that I dented in so bad that they had to throw in the trash, and they had to get a new one. And I didn't even remember that it happened. So when I finally got to the hospital, of course, you know, I'm reeking of alcohol, you know, wearing my dinner attire, and it's probably noon time I got there. And of course I walked in the door, you know, the look from my wife, I'll never forget. Just so much anger, but also just so much disappointment. You know, and then just seeing my daughter and knowing that she had already been there for 3 or 4 hours without me. Because I was so passed out that my wife either thought I wouldn't be coherent enough to go, or she was so upset from the night before that she didn't even want to include me. Bottom line, there was a reason why I wasn't there when I should have been. And you know, once I was there, you know, we're still in the waiting room, and before we decide whether, getting tests back and when she's going to get into a room. And I remember just being there, and I hadn't had a drink, and my body started going into like withdrawals, and I started feeling really, really bad. And I remember just being extremely selfish and thinking, I hope these tests come back soon. I hope that, I hope we can get her to a room soon and get her stable and know what's going on. And rather than that being, 100% because I wanted her to be okay. I mean, of course I did. Again, I'm a loving father, always have been, and of course I'm concerned, and I want her to be okay. But there was also something that was clawing me in the back of my mind, which was, I need to know that she's here, that she's safe, that she's with her mom, so that I can get home and I can get a drink soon. Because I'm feeling worse and worse and worse, and I'm having a really hard time being here in this hospital, and dealing with my own physical, discomfort. And, and I just think how terrible was it that I couldn't even sit there for 12 hours, without, and be there for her without just thinking about my own personal, reasons to why I needed to leave. And, the thing is, the point here is that, I didn't learn anything from that day. It was a major low. I felt guilty. I felt shitty. But it wasn't a lesson for me. It wasn't, I'll never do this again. It was just another day in the life of Brandon Whaley, which was someone who was an addict, someone who, lied to myself very often. And I was in a major state of denial. And this was early on. This was long before I even admitted I had a problem or had something that I needed to address. I just thought that it was okay, that these things that I did, that the way that was handled, that the reason I wasn't there when I could have been, when I should have been, I thought all this shit was okay. I thought that I would that's just how it was, that's how it is for me. That's just, hopefully she doesn't go in there again. Hopefully she doesn't have to go to the hospital again. Hopefully this is a one-time thing. And that's how it was, for years. And just such a shame, that I had to, that couldn't have been more of a learning experience for me. So I do know now that those moments have passed. I mean, I can't go back. I can't redo them. I can't do it differently. I can only look at these pictures and realize how wrong I had it and how wrong I was. And I can only move forward with that, and just make sure that I don't ever find myself in that position again. And I work hard at it, and I don't foresee myself being in that position. And I know that if we need to go to the hospital, then I'm going to be 100% hands-on, and I will feel no rush to leave, because I've got nowhere to be but there for her. And that's what matters. I see everything differently now.